morning, and welcome to day 8 of exploring grace, flowing with grace, being in grace. Last week we examined, or for the past 7 days, we've been examining how we can find grace or be in grace through our breath work. And today I want to move into another aspect to explore over the next 7 days. And this aspect is stillness. We looked a lot at this when we were looking at our breath and the 4 parts of our breath, right? And how each of those parts have a function. We have our inhale, our pause, our exhale, and our pause. And so the inhale and the exhale are the action happening. And then we have that pause, right? The pause when we're retaining that breath, we're holding on to it, letting our lungs expand out and stay in that expanded state, holding that breath, allowing the lungs to stretch out and open. And then at the end of the exhale, we have that other retention of breath where we've expelled it all out and we're in that suspended breath, right? We're in that suspension of breathing and not breathing. And those are those still moments, the pauses, those still moments where, in particular, in that moment when we're in that suspension of breath, where we've got rid of all of our breath, but we haven't taken in new breath yet to replace that. That's that moment where we have stillness. We're just suspended into what is our next opportunity to move into. And that's the moment that we want to really pause and bring in this stillness that we're talking about. And so how can we focus on stillness this week? I'll be looking at little aspects within the practice to bring stillness into focus. In our regular life, we know that if we live a life where we go, when we do that, as we go, it's like we know we're kind of like moving with borrowed time, in the sense that as soon as we take a pause or a stop, because we've overexpended, then that pause or stop is like, whoa, my body is saying, no, I need to stop, not just take that little pause. And so we tend to just keep going and going until we're done, and then we're completely spent. And that's not a good thing. I mean, sometimes life just warrants that, and that's how it is. But it's really important for us in the day to learn throughout the day to take those moments of pause, those moments of reprieves, where we literally just sit and be still. Maybe sit and be still in the breath, or sit and be still and take a moment of meditation, or just a pause, right? Whether we're at work, whatever we're doing at work, and we just, we sit back and just kind of close our eyes and take a few breaths for a minute or so, or whatever it is. But those pause moments are so vital for us to kind of like check in, where are we at, and now we can move forward into the next step of where we have to be. So how can we bring that into a mat practice? There are so many opportunities in a mat practice to bring this in, some that are very blatant, as I'm going to talk about this morning, and some of them not so blatant, as we'll get through as we move through the next 7 days. So the one I'd like to talk about today goes along with our daily life, right? We need to, as we go through, we don't want to just keep go, Shavasana, right? We want to take moments in between things that we're doing so that when we move into a new asana or a new sequence of asanas, we can fully be mindful of moving through those. So as we talked about last week, it's so important to move your asanas with your breath. You're not just moving and breathing, right? You're breathing, and that's leading the movement. And there's many moments on your mat space where we can take those pauses and really just bring the focus back into the breath. I know when I teach my classes, the one thing I like to do, and this is where you can bring this in onto your mat space, is whenever we come up into a standing position. So for an example, you usually begin your class with your centering and your breath work, your warm up, and you're on the floor. And then you come up to a standing position. That's the moment before we move into the next phase, which is our standing asana practice. Before we move into the next stage, I generally like to stop in a mountain pose, whether we're with our hands at heart center or just standing with our arms out to the sides, and really taking the moment to feel that mountain pose. Breathe in that mountain pose and just really be that mountain pose. Feel the power of being a mountain and reflecting on that. And generally speaking, I pause there for about 3 breaths, maybe 5 breaths, depending on kind of the activity within the whole room. But this is where you, as the practitioner on your mat space, taking that moment, whether the instructor has or whether the teacher has, but you might need that little bit longer to linger there. Don't be afraid to linger there. And then join in the asana at your pace and at your breath. But as you're there, you just pause and you stop. And then again, after the sun salutations, so whether it's classical sun salutation A or B or modern sun salutation A or B, I again like to, when we come back up and we meet after that last one in mountain pose, again, pause. One reason is because we've moved through those salutations at our own breath pace, and so that first breath or so is just really so that everybody can take the time to meet back in mountain pose. And then once we've all met back in that mountain pose, take that reprieve together where we are just being. And then again, if you're in a hatha practice, during hatha practice, in between each little sequence that is done, you generally start back at the front of your mat, whether it's in a mountain pose, sometimes it's in a standing forward fold, sometimes it is in a downward facing dog, or maybe then that's the time that you want to come into a child's pose. These are the moments that you can take, and even if the instructor is stepping into that next asana, don't be afraid to stay in that starting pose for another breath or two where you need to. Sometimes that one extra breath can make all the difference in the world for you to be mindfully opening up into that next asana. In a vinyasa flow practice, there are several opportunities that the participant can have on their mat space to pause, right? In vinyasa flow, we're flowing, we're moving. Cardiovascularly, this is an intense workout, right? A very physical activity for our lungs. And so we want to take those moments. For an example, in the modern sun salutations, after you flowed through that vinyasa, you're in that downward dog. Generally speaking, the instructor will hold that downward dog for about 3 breaths, maybe 5 breaths, depending on the class's level and discipline, or how they're feeling that day. So that pause there in that downward dog is so fundamental. right? That's where you take that moment and breathe in that downward dog and come back into that reflection and that mindfulness before you move into the next sequence or the other half of the sequence. And then again, when you come up out of a salutation is also a fantastic place, whether you're in the forward fold and you want to stay there, or you come up to the full and finish the full salutation, you're back in that mountain pose again. So there's many spots that you can take 1 extra breath, 2 extra breaths, 3 extra breaths, maybe 5 extra breaths before you join back in with the rest of the pace of class. Don't wait for the instructor or the teacher to bring the whole class there, because sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes it does. Maybe you're in a pause and you still need another pause after that pause that the instructor has given. Most importantly is when the instructor gives those pauses, whether the instructor is telling you to take some breaths in that mountain pose, feeling the power of mountain pose, or in that standing forward fold, allowing gravity to open up the spine and create space, or in that downward dog, feeling the power of the core being engaged and the length of your abdomen, your whole torso opening to that. Respect those pause spaces, because those are usually the times that people decide, oh, I need a drink. Oh, I need to fix my hair. I need to wipe some sweat away. What you need to sit and do is think, do I really need to wipe the sweat away? Do I really need that little drink of water? Do I really need to fix my hair? Or are those excuses because you can't sit in that breath or two of stillness? So think about that. If you really need the sip of water, take the sip of water. But if you're only taking that sip of water because you're like, oh, we're in a forward fold, so I'm going to take a sip of water because we're not really doing a pose. You are really doing a pose. You're taking a moment to allow the spine to open, fill with space, and in that suspension, when you're hanging over, that's your moment to just come back into your mindfulness. So, honor the pauses that are given to you during the practice, but then also creating pauses where you feel that you may need them. Have a fantastic day. Hope to see you soon on your mat space, and I will be back tomorrow with another mat space tip on how we can bring stillness to our practice.